Speaker, we've heard the response from the Honorable Minister in charge of the docket. And the gist of the question here, and the question that we seek your clarification, Honorable Minister, is regards your letter. And then we shall look into the law and see whether it was lawful or not. As to whether you wrote to the board to authorize money to go into your docket, and we just need yes or no. And then secondly, the purpose of the funds, you are writing the board to perform what purpose? And then finally, just a second, don't worry, because these are questions, and that's why I'm seeking clarification. And then finally,
she has already given you the work plan,
and finally,
which includes you,
and
members.
And finally, as to whether she has the entire mandate to do so, then we will come up with a conclusion.
Thank you.
I am not on the phone. Hajat.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. According to the report, you said part of your work, you scrutinize the budget before you approve it. And according to the report, it was reported that there was 1.8 billion shillings that was simply inserted there for others. And all the board members were saying they didn't know how it came into the budget. How did you approve that? What criteria do you go through to approve that one?
Thank you.
4 areas. I'll be very brief, very brief. 2, the letters of appointment of the boards of directors. Indeed, it is true, among terms of reference, it included that they would benefit from the NSSF contributions. As the minister in charge of labor, you know the laws very well, and you know that boards actually are not employees of the organizations that they preside over. Why didn't you, in the first place, advise finance that what they're doing was wrong before you apportion blame to them? The third, why did you treat the 2 officers, the managing director and the deputy managing director, differently, yet they faced similar circumstances? Both of them, when their contracts expired, you chose to renew the deputy director and you did not renew the one for the managing director. Why did you treat 2 people differently that were faced by similar circumstances? And the last one, you were the supervisor. You were the supervisor of NSSF. And when you asked for the 6 billion shillings, how were you going to account for it? Were you going to account to your subordinates? How were you going to account for the 6 billion shillings if it had been allocated to you? Thank you.
Seungu Nandala.
I want to thank the Minister for her submission, which was almost becoming another report of itself. But Right Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Member was very good at sitting with us behind here, and she knows what happened with Honourable Chidu Makuya and Saida Bumba. You decided to close to go to government to perform into a failed system. Stomach all the challenges. Suffer. Stay there.
Who has told you she's suffering? Who has told you she's suffering?
Yes, I'm advising her, Right Honourable Speaker. Your interest was to become a minister. So just be merciful to us and leave.
Honorable Silwanyi, there is an order from Honorable Silwanyi.
Right Honorable Speaker, I know my brother, the Honorable Seungu, as one of the senior legislators in this August House. Is it therefore in order for Honorable Seungu to state that a minister who is looking nice like this and a wife to someone is suffering after crossing to sit this side? Is she in order to state that the Honorable Minister is actually suffering and in pain when I am seeing her like she's looking good?
Honorable members, I am imagining that was a joke. Honorable Betty has never said she's suffering, and she's okay. First of all, I want to really thank you for saving the 400 billion. Honorable Nandala, we debated on this report. We are only getting clarifications.
Yes, Madam Speaker. I also want to thank the Minister for her report. Just me, I have only three small issues. One, did you review the Auditor General's report on NSSF to make a decision that there is a need now to audit Rubowa, Temangalo, etc.? Two, we appropriate money in Parliament here for ministries. I have never seen any committee putting money in that ministry for its oversight what? Function. Under section 29, where is it stated of the National Social Security Fund Act, where is it stated that the minister will be provided money under NSSF for supervision? Under the PFM Act, every MDA is supposed to submit its budget to Parliament. Is it true that the NSSF budget has to end in the hands of the Minister for Gender, or it's supposed to come Parliament for final part? Finally, you stated that the Minister for Finance also was writing similar letters. Did you ask him?
Honorable Nathan, just to help Betty on the Auditor General's report, it says no significant matters to report on. The opinion unqualified.
So, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. You have made it good for me now. You said the Auditor General's report was unqualified opinion.
Unqualified.
In the eyes of the minister, the report should have been not qualified. Now that's where I'm coming. I'm saying, having stated that the report should be qualified, wouldn't it have been better for us first to engage the Auditor General's office to say, you are saying this report is clean, yet we are seeing glaring facts that this is a report hiding fraud. And that's what I'm trying to say. Because that would have been the office to be the first one to be a call. And finally,
But on that one, the Auditor General deals with accounting officers, not with the ministers.
that's why, Madam Speaker, the report of the Auditor General is for public consumption information, and one of the reports to assist her is the Auditor General's what? Report. And that's why I'm saying she read.
Before you leave that, I want to refer you to Article 164 on accountability. The permanent secretary or the accounting officer in charge of a ministry or designated shall be accountable. For her, she's a political leader, the other one is the accounting officer.
And we're saying that she did good, and that's why we're saying, why didn't she use that office to assist?
Martin, Sechi.
There was an element of 15 billion which was supposed to go for Dubai, retreat, gym, and so on. And you said that in your proposal for the 6 billion, you made it clear that I only requested for 6 billion out of the 15 billion. First of all, is that true? And where was your conscience okay with the balance of 9 billion to be misused and abused as a minister? Secondly, is it true that you gave a breakdown of the 6 billion? I thank you, Right Honour.
To have this matter clarified, amongst the abuses at the NSSF came the question of the 6 billion. Right Honourable Speaker, as I was listening in, the minister did and performed her statutory duties and obligations in approving the budget as presented by the board. But underneath She also pointed out that out of that 15 billion, can I have this 6 billion for purposes of mobilizing the diaspora, for purposes of doing this, for purposes of compliance and others. So, honorable members, before our attention is drawn from that point, the minister is in the dock. And the statement that we must prove beyond reasonable doubt, excuse me, Right Honorable Speaker, this is not a court of law. We act on a balance, the moment we go there, on the balance of probability and the judgment of members. Was the Honorable Minister right at that point to also demand a take of the 6 billion to share, now that you are taking the 15, avail me with the 6 billion, and that's why the minister is in the dock of this house, and that's why the position must be taken. Did she do it or not? And she has read the letter where indeed she has implicated herself. For any other debate, for any other saying on this side or that, Parliament must rise to the occasion. We must take a position. We either do it or we let it all go. But that's where the crunch of the matter is, and that's where the minister must be held accountable.
Honorable members, the only matter in contention is the 6 billion. 6 billion. The rest of the recommendations, the minister is in agreement with the committee. Medad?
Honorable Speaker, I drafted a good defense. I just want to seek clarification on one issue in two pieces. One, talking about Parliament, without consulting us and without us having a role in the implementation of the new law, what was your projection? What would be our role? Because the people are asking us, you make the law, you don't implement it. What business would you have with money being appropriated to members of Parliament from the workers' savings to do what? What role did you assign us as Parliament? And who told you we needed help financially? Thank you.
Guardian?
I would like to thank the member that has just been on the floor, because my question was also related to that. But I just want to add on by saying, did the minister think that this was legally right for the workers' money to be given and paid to members of Parliament who are not even part of NSSF? Did she think that was morally right and legally right for that money to be given to members of Parliament?
I want it to be on record that members of Parliament are not beneficiaries of this money. If they were in other years, they are not, the 11th Parliament is not part of it. Afidra?
Right Honourable Speaker, to the Honourable Minister, I really appreciated the defense, but I have a clarification to seek through in her conclusion. When we started the defense, a member raised a question that, is she speaking as a Honourable Anita, Among, or as the...
Amongi.
Amongi. Yes, and Betty Amongi, or as the Minister for Gender and Local and Labor. Yes. However, she did not respond to that clarification.
No, it was responded to.
Now,
she responded to that.
Right.
She did it.
Now my clarification in her conclusion is, she's asking for further time to be given to the ministry to respond to some of the issues raised on the report. If you read your conclusion.
Honorable Fidra, action taken reports under Rule 220 is supposed to bring a report on actions taken on what was raised in a report. And that's what the minister is saying. Give me time to bring the actions taken. Barbara, Miss Uganda, Barbara. Honorable Babi.
Right Honorable Speaker, I've been following the defense, and I hope the discussion now is specifically on the defense put up by the minister and not the main report, because I have issues to raise in the main report. But specifically for this one, since we have now zeroed our scrutiny on the 6 billion, I would want to know why the 250 million given to individual members of the board and ministers is not in there.
That is the 1.8.
The 1.8, yes. I'm wondering why we are not scrutinizing that one, and I believe that Betty should have put it in our defense because it's important in this particular one. Secondly, when it comes to this 6 billion, I've seen on page 54. I'm sorry I didn't come with my report. Page 54 gives some details about the utilization of that 6 billion. Right Honorable Speaker, we should be guided by the law. We have in place Public Finance and Management Act as amended. And therefore, we must be guided by the law. And the law says there is a difference between originating and implementation. Now, who originates the budget? We need to be clear on that. On the law, please, not person. We should be clear on who initiates the budget. We should be very clear on that, so that nobody should be seen as being victimized on anything. I believe, since this is the only contentious issue, let us look at the law, scrutinize the law, and pin the law down. But as a person, as a member of this institution of parliament, Right Honorable Speaker, I stand to defend myself. If NSSF was planning or scheming to budget for me to travel on NSSF money, it is absolutely illegal. I would not have accepted. Even when I'm asleep, I would fight it. I think that is an abominable. Right Honorable Speaker, for an old woman like me, it would absolutely be a taboo that people who have saved their money and I use that money for me to go and buy extra things from Washington, that would not be acceptable. So, Right Honorable Speaker, my own contribution on this particular issue, which you have zeroed on, let us be guided by the law. Thank you.
Thank you. Musasizi.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to appreciate you and the House for taking time to get into the details of the NSSF issue, which is before us. I'd like to beg your indulgence. My name was mentioned in an activity which took place way back in 2015 when I was a member of the Finance Committee. Madam Chair, I wish to inform the House as follows, that in the 9th Parliament, the Finance Committee spent a lot of time considering the bill which was then entitled the Retirement Benefits Liberalization Bill. And in the consideration of this bill, we benchmarked many countries, Malaysia inclusive.
I ruled on the issue of travels.
On?
On that issue of what happened in the previous Parliament. So that should not be.
So that one should not. But I
do you have anything to say on what has been presented in regards to finance?
On what has been presented, Madam Speaker, is that the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development made a statement last week, and in the statement, he mentions the 6 billion. The issue of the 6 billion came before us, and when it came to our attention, we notified the Minister of Gender. We went ahead to do the meeting with her. We gave our opinion, which opinion was recorded. We advised against it, and she went ahead and made a decision. That is how far we can go, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
My brother, the Honorable Henry Musasizi, has been named in scandal after scandal. He would be given an opportunity to tell us.
Which scandal?
Yes, with your permission, first let me speak. I thought he would be given an opportunity to clarify whether he actually partook on money for workers, NSSF money, because it has been placed onto his name. Lately, we have seen him mentioned in iron sheets. I think fairness would require that he explains whether he actually took money both from Parliament and from NSSF, so that we can also deal with him appropriately.
Honorable Segona, don't smuggle Musasi's own thing. Musasi also has his own issues. Wait, he will have his own issues, he will have his own day. Honorable Betty, would you want, or you will clarify? Can we hear from the leader of opposition?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the committee for the elaborate report. In some situations, I think the committee was compelled to do some fishing expedition to make sure that the issues come out clearly, but it's understandable in the circumstances. I had earlier on planned to speak in some way on this subject, but following the submission of my honorable sister and minister, together with what looks like...
Honorable members, don't go far. We need to finish on this report.
Together with what looked like a corroborated response from the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Honorable Kasaija, on behalf of Finance, I will even cut my submission by a half and instead raise questions that will need to be answered in very particular terms. Right Honorable Speaker, first of all, I was musing to the terms of reference. One, to examine corporate governance structures at the NSSF. And the submission of the Honourable Minister really can tell you whether there is anything to do with corporate governance. Maybe they can write the word, this corporate governance, but they don't know the meaning and how it is exercised. And there's admission that's non-existent. To examine circumstances surrounding the appointment of the fund's managing director, we now know. To evaluate the status and safety of savers' money in the fund, your conclusion is as good as mine. And the simpler question would be, and you see, very interesting, the money in NSSF is private money. Money of private people saving their little money for a rainy day. The question of the Honourable Minister, when did it occur to you that actually you can use this money for government work? That you can actually even borrow the word appropriation in your state. But you see, the Honourable Minister is quoting Section 29 of the Act as amended. Of course, it is a convenient expansion of the meaning of interpretation of Section 29. He's convenient expanding the interpretation, but nowhere in that section is the minister allowed to dip her fingers in the saver's cookie jar to do government work, because that money is with Parliament. So I want to advise my sister that if she has a deeper interpretation of Section 29, to lay it here, or even actually explain it, because it's very, very clear you cannot appropriate. Appropriation is a preserve of Parliament. If you interpret Section 29 to mean that you can actually add in money not envisaged by the law, that's why you are being cooked here, my sister. I would like to ask the Attorney General probably to help interpret for the Honourable Minister in broader terms the strict interpretation of Section 29(3) of the Act. But Honourable Speaker, the Honourable Barbara Cecilia Atim Ogwal Imat.
Miss Uganda.
Yes. Has ably articulated my contention on page 29, so 79 of the main report, which breaks down the Honourable Minister's desire to partake of the 1.8 billion and strictly the 250 million she was supposed to use for corporate social responsibility. What is her construction of her share of the 1.8 billion, the equivalent of 250 million? Secondly, the main report speaks of the 40 billion. The minister was demanding that it goes to the Grain Council, an entity alien to NSSF. Will the minister explain her interest in the Grain Council and why she was recommending that 40 billion goes there, and what is her interest? Will the minister be decent enough and declare her interest in the Grain Council that she can go fishing for it, save us money to the tune of 40 billion? Right, Honourable Speaker, the argument that it was not taken after all does not render the act innocent. Under criminal law, an attempt is a crime. So will the Honourable Minister explain her attempt to partake of 40 billion to go to the Grain Council under unclear circumstances? Maybe she will. Right, Honourable Speaker, that is for the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development. In absentia, the Honourable Minister of Finance, probably represented now, because the Honourable Minister has ably said that this was their joint statement, and therefore he concurs with the contents therein. If I so contend, right, Honourable Speaker. I find the statement by the Minister of Finance a bit problematic, and where I agreed with my honourable sister is that a lot took place actually prior to the amendment of the Act to include the Minister of Gender as a supervisor. And the finance at some stage was the sole supervisor of this entity, and a lot of water indeed went under the channel in all colors. Now the minister says this. First of all, he states that I beg your pardon, Honourable Speaker. That the Minister of Finance has a critical role under your supervision, and therefore he agrees with the committee. In fact, his construction is that of the report is that the report preferred that the entire entity returns to finance. But the minister does not explain the return of omissions and commissions. Namely, the ministry was solely under supervising the entity when 11 billion was doled out to Uganda Clays without due diligence. Finance was entirely in charge. And they actually knew that indeed the board, the MD was a board member of Uganda Clays. Was the ministry aware of this conflict of interest when taxpayers' money was doled out for a song to Uganda Clays, workers' money? Secondly, the doling out of money to West Nile Golf Club. Was the ministry aware that the deputy MD was actually a member of the golf club? So was the ministry and ministers alive or actually sleeping on the job?
Who was a member of the club?
That the Mr. Ayuta was a member of the West Nile Golf Club. Are they alive to this information? Yes. Because that's information known to so many people, right, Honourable Speaker. Right, Honourable Speaker, the $2 million loss under Victoria Development Project, $2 million. All these, remember, finance pretending over had a duty to approve all these investments and projects. Where was finance when these approvals were being made? Was the minister aware or they were never brought to his attention? Can we know what the comments were when these funds were being written off? What was the input of finance at the writing off of these savers' money at the time? Dr. Speaker, I'm bringing this to make one simple point, that the Minister of Finance, in their response, did not fully account for their part in this malaise. And therefore, we need them back here to answer to this malaise, because they are equally culpable. They are equally culpable, and if we are going to roast culprits, they must be part of the frying pan, and probably with more oil in their frying pan for the cooking.
Thank you.
Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg your pardon? Can we establish her knowledge as to the role of the commission? Because does she have any correspondence with the commission to understand the needs of the commission for her to appropriate some monies for the commission?
Parliamentary Commission.
The Parliamentary Commission. Because I have been to the commission for the last 1 year, and I have never seen an inquiry from any entity or ministry desiring to know our needs. At what stage did you construct the needs of the commission to think of giving us something to use? I commend her generosity and creativity that far. But we need to understand when she construed it. Honourable Speaker, like I said, I'm going to jumble my response because I was really disturbed when I got her second response, because she amended her considered response, and I thought I should not really be structured. The end of this, Honourable Speaker, is that I have not seen anything assuring savers that the people pretending over this entity are even knowledgeable about what they are doing. It's a litany of negligence, connivance, deal-making, and outright abuse of office by the people charged with these savers' money. And I would like to invite this Parliament to consider the response of the two ministers as a mere defense to fit the circumstances. It does not really respond to the critical findings of the committee. In fact, there are no particular responses with the findings of the committee. And the Honorable Minister of Gender, you know, she's a long-time friend. We met at university in 1998. And I've known her as sometimes hard-working and sometimes working hard, you know. And I suppose in all situations she's well-intentioned. So I don't know this time whether she was working hard or hard-working for this to come out the way it has come out, because it does not constitute a defense anywhere. A defense per se should explain in particular terms, to respond in particular terms, the issues as raised in unequivocal terms, not with the buts and whys, you know. So the response does not help us to get that. Finally, Right Honourable Speaker, there is multiple response to the land at Nachigalala that has 3 different plots and by extension instruments. I don't know whether the committee a little bit left out of this. We can now take this as an amendment to the resolutions, the recommendations and resolutions of Parliament. The 3 instruments really underscore clear intention to commit fraud. And the intention cannot be mistaken for anything else. It's here the fraud, and the fraud does not have any other meaning. In fact, if you don't know the meaning of fraud, just go and look at that intention. It is by definition and the intention. We need to capture this, and whoever was involved in reporting these 3 instruments is culpable in outright fraud, and therefore must be held culpable. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to advise my sister. These are very serious matters, and the Ministry of Finance, the Honourable Musasizi is, to use American speech, is freshly dead in these matters. There is, the Honourable Kasaija should be here to carry his cross, his transgressions in these matters. And I want to invite the Honourable Musasizi not to engage in trying to defend the indefensible. What you do not know, surrender. We must clean this house. We must give assurance and hope to citizens. I now know why midterm access was really frustrated until we put our foot down. This entity has become, over the years, some people's milking cow. Right Honourable Speaker, what I would like to request as I take leave is that we need to have timelines to avoid people working backwards to hide evidence. For instance, activities on the suspense account. The suspense account is like an open market. You know, see, even an ATM has a code. It's an open market. It's like a window. You enter and leave at will. Can we resolve that? We move to suspend all activities on some of these transactions until a proper inquest is done. Because what is being dubbed as investment is actually disinvestment. And you can see managers enter transactions, the transaction to construct what is dubbed as the workers' pension house. Of course, they will tell you they complied. A variation, because the agreement allows a variation of 25%. But you make sure that even before half is done, you vary by 23%. And so, you know, we are still within the limits. 61 billion taken. Because the contractual arrangement allows us to vary by 25%. So only 23 has been partaken of. It's still okay. These are not innocent variations, Right Honourable Speaker. The House of Parliament must be interested. Why the variation? Was there inflation? Can we look at the inflation figures? Was the contractual sum deflated by a GDP deflator to move by 23% in a short time? These are not simple things, Right Honourable Speaker. And I hope Parliament can utilize the expertise of the Office of the Director General and the IGG to go to the bottom of this problem. Otherwise, like a member observed in the first debate, it does seem that after a round of 5 years, NSSF will be investigated. The culprits go and die and invest their root wherever they invest it. I hope we can have an opportunity at the 11th Parliament to structure, Right Honourable Speaker, if it means reconsidering the law, and for me, it's not a question of solving this problem today, Right Honourable Speaker. We can even give ourselves another 2-3 days to get to the bottom of the problem. If we have our structuring of the recommendations today done, I have no problem finishing it, Right Honourable Speaker. And I want to advise that, well, as you are going to put the question, for each of the recommendations, you allow members a few minutes to amend these recommendations so that they can actually give us what we need and save the poor Ugandan saving with NSSF this burden.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker.
One of the recommendations is amendment of the law. That one will be captured. Chair, do you have anything to say? If you don't have,
thank you, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members. What I can say is this is a committee report. We wouldn't want to be seen debating with the witnesses, but every recommendation in this report is backed by evidence. The evidence is attached on your iPads, and we believe we did this job to the best of our interest and knowledge, and we can defend all the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Clarifications? Honourable Minister.
Honourable Chair, Honourable Speaker, in my statement, I requested for Attorney General's interpretation, and since the Attorney General has come, I request that let him first, and Honourable Segona made reference to that. I think my colleague, the Honourable Member for Kampala.
Can we first have clarification on what members raised?
What it is actually, most of the issue is on the law, and I don't have the mandate when the Attorney General is here.
The 6 billion is on the law?
Yes, on section 29.
And then the 1.8?
That one I will answer.
You answer.
Right Honourable Speaker, the first was talking about my letter and the law. That's why I wanted it to start. The second is about the mandate. The third part of the work, part of my work, is to scrutinize the budget. And before the 1.8 billion, before you approve the 1.8 billion, did you know, or what did you approve? Right Honourable Speaker and members, I want to clearly state that I approved the 1.8 billion, but for stakeholders' engagement. And I want to go to page 80 because it is captured in the committee report. Page 80, the committee states, the committee observed that whereas several witnesses kept denying having knowledge, participated, or passed the budget, the 1.8 billion was actually passed by the board in the NSSF budget for financial year 22-23 and Appendix 2 as other operating costs. Extract from the NSSF budget for financial year 22-23, funding the strategy on the budget item of the 1.8 billion is shown below. The fund has planned for joint activities with the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Labour Unions, Federation of Uganda Employers, private sector, and members of parliament representing workers. 1.8 billion. That is what was in the budget. That is what is captured. However, during presentation, and for me, who approved the budget, that is what I approved. I approved it as joint activities for stakeholders.
That is the 1.8, eh?
Yes.
Is that the same budget where the 6 billion was? Who initiated the 1.8?
The 1.8 billion came from NSSF.
Who initiated it in the budget?
It is from the NSSF former MD. And I submitted a letter to the committee.
And then who originated the 6 billion in the budget?
The 6 billion was a reallocation within the operating budget for me, which I approved in the budget.
Who brought the idea?
Which one?
Of the 6 billion.
The 6 billion, I have indicated in my statement. I brought it up in a meeting.
It is okay, that's answered. That answers Cecilia's question on the originator or initiator. Go ahead.
1.8 billion, which is money for stakeholders brought from the fund. I approved it. However, the former MD, when they went to Mbarara for a board meeting, according to, I don't recall the name of the hotel, Mbarara, now started going to board members and enticing board members for the 1.8 billion to be given to them to renew his contract. And it was a testimony in the committee, and it was played here.
So the 1.8 was given to board members?
No, the 1.8 has not been given. It was approved by me as stakeholders, as they sent it. But when it now reached implementation, the MD gave 800 aside for labor unions, COF2 and NOTO.
Who is the MD?
The former MD, Richard Biarogaba.
Okay.
So Richard Biarogaba, the former MD, wanted to use the 1 billion to give members of the board to approve his contract. And when he was in
there's a procedure matter.
My procedure issue, Madam Speaker, is that we keep on discussing the personalities of the people that were met by the committee, and we are continuing to refer to the issues. And yet those personalities are not here to defend themselves on the subject that we are discussing. Madam Speaker, the report was laid on the floor of Parliament. We debated it. But when we keep on going back, we get confused. Madam Speaker, are we procedurally going well in terms of discussing the personalities that are not here to defend themselves when they appeared before the committee, including the minister?
Honorable members, there are only 3 people in this country that you can't discuss about. That is the President, the Speaker, and the Chief Justice. Honorable Amongi, can you finish? Honorable Amongi, can you conclude?
Right, Honorable.
Right, Honorable Speaker.
By the way, those people you can only discuss with a motion.
That's the record I wanted to correct.
Only with a motion.
They can be discussed.
Yes.
Yes.
Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, on that matter of the 1.8 billion, Honorable Betty Amongi
long-term friend of mine. Like the Loper said, we met at university. The 1.8 billion, you are saying the former MD wanted to give 1 billion in order to get his way out. But in the report, your name is also listed as one of the beneficiaries. Was it also to enable him to, so you clarify that as well?
Honorable Betty got 250, or was supposed to get 250, not so?
Right Honorable Speaker, the money was meant for the activities I approved. When it reached NSSF for implementation, that's when I don't want to say conspiracy because the committee has stated it very clearly in para 8, page 142, that whereas the committee appreciates Richard Byarugaba and the entire management for their effort in growing the fund, the committee notes their involvement in the initiation of the 1.8 billion concealed under corporate social responsibility, where 250 to the board chair, 250 to the minister responsible for labor, 500 million to board members, and 800 million to the unions. So the board, and the chair played here, the board saying that Richard Byarugaba attempted to bribe them, and that particular board member said he was standing with Dr. Silva Mugisha, also another board member. And Richard scrolled his phone and said, this one is for you, this one is for you, this one is for you. Just sign my contract. So for me, I want to say what I testified before the committee. When the committee called me, I testified, and I want to put it on record, that when they returned from Mbarara, the chairman and Richard Byarugaba came to my office and told me that at Mbarara, they sat and they agreed that they give money for corporate social responsibility. And for the minister, they have allocated 250 million. I asked them under what areas of activities, because for me, I know corporate social responsibility, but they came to me saying, this one is called corporate social investment.
Honorable Amongi, can you summarize?
Right.
We have a bill that must be completed.
Yes. So, when they told me this is
right, Honorable Speaker, I sought clarification on that point. 1.8 billion shillings was put in the budget as other expenses. And I really don't know whether any rightful thinking person can consider 1.8 billion shillings to be any other expenses. I sought clarification, and from the minister's submission, I really understand that this was a planned loot that was put in budget. They just put their money for themselves to share at the rightful time. That's the understanding I've been able to capture from her explanation.
Thank you.
I think let me finish my response, because the committee already found the culprit, and under recommendation 8, they are making a recommendation. But
it's
you
okay,
ask,
just
and Honorable
finalize.
Cecilia also asked.
Just
So
finalize.
the conclusion of my submission is that when they came to me that this is corporate social investment, I told them I had already written to you earlier that if there is any corporate social responsibility, you go to industrial park, put it in the circle. And it is in one of the letters I submitted to the committee, where I was directing that they should look for circle of contributing members. Because of COVID-19, let them put, even if you put 10 million per circle, at least it is returning to the people who save with the fund. So when they came to me, I instructed them, if this is a new term, I don't know the terminology of social corporate investment, first bring the guidelines before you allocate the money, including putting mine in areas of taking it to the circles of the workers in the industrial park, plantation because I had visited. So for me, that is what I guided them on the issue. And by the way, corporate social responsibility is not a bad issue. All organizations, myself, I have an hospital that has been built under corporate social responsibility by Karoma Hydropower, more than $2 million in my constituency. So it is a corporate matter for most organizations. But I think here it was how was it utilized and the fact that it was being diverted for something else. The second, I think the other one, the 6 billion, majorly the question is really, the questions around 6 billion requires Attorney General's interpretation. Yes, because people are querying, there are people who are saying, does the minister appropriate or should it come to Parliament?
Honorable Betty.
Yes.
In the 1.8, as per the budget, the fund has been planned for a joint activity with the Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development, labor unions, Federation of Uganda Employers, private sector, and members of Parliament representing workers. So members of Parliament representing workers were beneficiaries of 1.8. Is that true or false?
Were supposed to be, that money has never been released, Right Honorable. Why? Members of Parliament for workers, they are the ones who represent the interest of workers. When they call workshops, even for mid-term access, they played a very crucial role. So it is not that you are getting the money and paying them.
Do we pay, as Parliament, do we pay members of Parliament representing workers?
It is not to pay them, Right Honorable. It is to organize consultative meetings,
this is different.
Like workshops.
What is on the report is different from what you're saying.
I'm explaining.
We need to protect these members. You rather say the money is for workshops facilitated by, other than saying the money is to members of Parliament representing workers.
Now, Right Honorable, I don't initiate this narrative. I can only pledge that the narrative, because the narrative here, the fund has planned for joint activities. So the joint activities, like for midterm access, we were always organizing workshops, calling them to give us ideas and proposals. So it is joint activities, it's not to give them, but I will
as I
ask
said,
them.
it is wrong for you to have members of Parliament in whatever you're doing, whichever record you have. We pay these members of Parliament a lot of money.
Maybe you should guide me.
Even if they have activities, let it be an activity of NSSF. If you want the members of Parliament to go and facilitate, they will go on their own as the members representing workers.
I really don't know how best I can put it.
Betty, I am talking for you and me. Tomorrow you may not be a minister and somebody is mentioning members of Parliament. I am protecting you people. Because today somebody is saying this money is going to members of Parliament. It is spoiling your names.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm seeking clarification. I made reference to 1.8 billion because I wanted my daughter, Honorable Beta Moy, to clear her name, because this specifically pointed at her as being targeted with the 250 million. I'm now restrained to discuss further because she has made my request to make her clean her name worse by saying actually the board met her and they discussed and they agreed. That is very dangerous. That is very dangerous. It means, yes, I agreed to take the money Therefore now, that is dangerous. You are a colleague to many of the members. And I think in our discussion, we should pinpoint a member when it deserves to be pinpointed. And we should save members, because at the end of the day, we all go and live together. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would want Honorable Betty, before she concludes on this, to really clear her name on the 250. Please be specific. You are saying SACCOs, but you already agreed that 250 should come to you, which should not have been the case. So can you please clear your name on the 250 million?
Yes.
Honorable Cecilia, I don't know whether it skipped your ears. She actually said, and in my 250. So she owned it up as she was speaking. She said, and in my 250 would go to a circle. So she already owned it up, the 250.
Yes. Said a budget was brought to her for approval. She approved. And she approved. So what else do you want to know? Now, you want her to deny. Huh? No, I like her for being honest.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, I state I don't like to lie, so I want to say the truth. The truth of the matter, I approved 1.8 billion for stakeholders engagement. When it went to NSSF, they changed it. When they came back from Barara, they told me they have allocated money. They did not tell me that it is part of the 1.8 for stakeholders. So I told them, for me, if there's any money allocated for minister responsible for labor, let it go to the Savers Circle, not to me. So I have never received 250, and the condition under which I said I will accept is as long as it will go to the Savers Circle. I will accept it as a corporate social responsibility.
Has anybody received that money?
No, nobody has received it.
So nobody has received it, and it is not anywhere on record that money was supposed to go to the Savers Circle. Can you conclude?
Yes? There are some...
the Honorable Nathan.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are all here talking about workers' money.
Hard-earned money.
Hard-earned money. And the workers contribute that money knowing tomorrow they'll get something at the end. Madam Speaker, this money, you don't need to advertise because the law enforces it. What is this social responsibility on people's hard-earned money instead of putting it to increase their return on of the investment? So, Madam Speaker, this appropriation of the minister, isn't it basically wrong for the minister to appropriate money on areas which disadvantage a worker?
Honorable members, maybe just for information, 200 million has already been given to NOTU and COFTU under the leadership of none other than Patrick Anyota. Go ahead. You have
thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. The information you've given is the one I wanted to give. Actually, they confessed that Dr. Liamochi went with, I think, one of the members.
Penina.
No, they went, he took him to the bank and he withdrew 100 million and handed over the money to him. So that money was already withdrawn. Cash, yes.
Okay. Let's complete this thing.
Right Honorable, on the issue of guiding budgets, on the 6 billion, there are 5 questions on issues of the law, but on the other issue of the 6 billion, I was guiding reallocation of budgets to an area of priority. That budget is NSSF budget. It is not a budget for Ministry of Gender. I don't know why members continue to say that the budget is for Ministry of Gender, when even the committee itself in their report has accepted that the budget is for the 6 billion is for NSSF, and they enumerate the activities, and there is none of that activity is for Ministry of Gender. The activities that are here is not the activity for my ministry. It is activity to implement NSSF Act. Under the law, it is supposed to be undertaken by NSSF. Implementing the NSSF Amendment Act is not my role.
Can we conclude?
So, please, I want members to know that the law is very, yes.
You have insisted that the 6 billion was to implement the act. And you know that the activities of the ministry are budgeted for by Parliament. Was that an unfunded priority in your budget as a ministry, and how much money was there on it?
And Honorable Musasi, there is something you said you advised, and the minister insisted on the 6 billion.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I said that when the matter of 6 billion came to our attention, we advised that, look, this is hard-earned money by the savers. This is not government money. It is money which is contributed by the savers. And it is irregular for government to start encroaching on the savers' money for its own activities.
That was the first good advice.
That is the advice we gave.
How many did you advise?
We advised the Minister of Gender.
Who?
In a meeting which we held at the Ministry of Finance, chaired by Matia Kasaija, Minister of Finance.
Honorable members, can we conclude this? We must finish a bill.
Right, Honorable. The minutes of that meeting has not been availed. And I want to state categorically that, yes, in the communication, Kasaija was told.
Honorable Kasaija.
Honorable Kasaija, in his communication, stated that he has been notified that I have asked for money to be given to Ministry of Gender. In my own communication, I notified Honorable Kasaija that that money is not for Ministry of Gender. And Honorable Kasaija, when we were concluding, indeed indicated that if the money is not for Ministry of Gender and it is to appropriated within NSSF Act, then there is no issue and therefore it is lawful. And I wanted Honorable Kasaija to be here because, right, Honorable, I don't like to push things. We were with Honorable Kasaija on Tuesday, the day before yesterday, in State House. And we discussed this matter a little bit with H.E. the President. And Honorable Kasaija indicated that he was told. And I wanted Honorable Kasaija to be here. But he's not here. I cannot diverge the discussion we had. So let me just conclude.
Please conclude.
Yes.
Please conclude.
I want to conclude. I want to conclude by answering the LOP. Those activities.
Let her conclude.
These activities
Honorable members.
The activities captured in the budget for NSSF under the 6 billion does not include activities for the Ministry of Gender, neither is it in the unfunded priority.
Honorable Tinker.
2.
Honorable Tinker, let's not bring emotions into this debate. Let's not bring tribal sentiments into this debate. Let's look at the Savers Fund. Savers Fund. Now you're getting mad at because of Kasaija. Bunyora affairs. Let her complete, then you bring your issue.
I want to reiterate that the activities contained under page 54 of the committee report is activities that does not fall under Ministry of Gender. And I want to indicate that NSSF asks a lot of stakeholders engagement. The new law, we have issued mid-term regulations. We had to have engagement of residential nature in Serena Chigu with stakeholders. It doesn't mean that when we call stakeholders, we are going to pay the stakeholders, but they come with ideas. At the moment, the law permits me to issue regulation for voluntary saving. Under that regulation, I cannot sit and do it alone. I have to do it with stakeholders. And workers, members of parliament are important. Committee of Gender is important. We undertake collective stakeholders engagement. So we will continue with this, but we take your guidance that there is no more issue related to parliament being funded for purpose of travel abroad. And Right Honorable Speaker, I cannot answer why we don't bring NSSF budget to parliament. It is a matter of law that empowers the minister to do that. So if Attorney General can guide whether it should be brought to parliament before I append my signature, then let him advise, then I will take action.
The law is very clear. Nobody needs to advise on anything. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I am sorry if you read in my mind tribal sentiments, but it is not true because Honorable Minister has persistently referred to Honorable Matia Kasaija. Matia Kasaija has been one of the longest serving ministers of finance under President Museveni. On record of this House, evidence has been adduced that the same minister properly advised, the same minister Matia Kasaija properly advised the Honorable Minister to tame her appetite for workers' money. Even in this House, she's still insisting that she still wants the 6 billion.
Honorable members.
For me, I will request that you guide her to die alone. Kasaija properly said, our appetite on workers' money, no. She's still insisting here she wants the 6 billion.
Honorable members.
They walk to his compound.
Honorable members. Honorable members, can we conclude in this? We have heard from both sides. Order. We have heard from both sides. We have 27 recommendations of the committee. Can we, recommendation 1, any amendment? On one? Don't ask me what he's saying. Don't you have the report? Recommendation 2, I will not come back for recommittal.
Clarification, Chair.
Recommendation 2.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I have a new amendment. I don't know at what time to bring on the issue of the 400 billion. You remember the leader of opposition brought the matter. It was, I think, omitted because of the issue of the registration instrument having the same for all the 3 blocks. I wonder whether we bring it at the end after we have gone through.
I have asked the chairperson of COSASE to thoroughly go and look at issues of NSSF, including that one. So let's go slow on this one, on the 400. Amendment on which recommendation?
Madam Speaker,
which recommendation are you amending?
Recommendation on, Madam Speaker, thank you very much. Recommendation.
Tell me the recommendation you are amending.
Yes, recommendation on sanctions.
No, that is general. 3, yes.
Yeah, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Recommendation 3 is recommending supervision of the fund to go to the Minister of Finance.
No.
Yes, it is, Right Honorable Speaker. I can quote.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Right Honorable Speaker, you have had a lot of fouls happened while the fund was still being supervised by the Minister of Finance. To me, the dual supervision actually has helped us to unearth a lot of things, because what escapes one ministry, the other ministry can see. I want to suggest, Right Honorable Speaker, that this status quo maintains and we delete that recommendation.
Those in favor say on the contrary, nay? Aye. The ayes have it. We already have a drug supervision. What we need is to streamline. And it's good when they are fighting.
Yes.
4, 5, 6, 7, 7. Honorable Betty.
Let me put on record my issues.
Okay.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, recommendation 7 reads the action of the Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Honorable Betty Amongi, in directing 6 billion to be availed to our ministry. I want this to be on record that directing, appropriating 6 billion within NSSF budget. Because I did not send it to my ministry.
There is a procedure matter, Babe.
I reallocated from the 15 billion under wasteful expenditure. I did not direct it to Ministry of Gender.
Abe.
Right Honorable Speaker, I think both parties were given ample time to debate and present their cases. Honorable Speaker, wouldn't it be procedurally right if the parties who are mentioned in the report step put and allow us to proceed with the recommendations which are there?
Yes, Honorable Cecilia.
Right Honorable Speaker, the procedural matter I'm trying to raise now is that as an individual member, we can now at this stage not amend this report. We cannot, as the constituted house now, amend the report which has already been signed by the members of this ad hoc committee. Therefore, we can come up with an amendment to the report.
Honorable Cecilia, we are processing the recommendations that have been brought and see whether they are in conformity with what we want in the House. We are not making an amendment.
Right Honorable Speaker, I think in aid to the contention raised by the Honorable...
We are talking about the savers' money. I want to see people who are standing with their heads up. And yeah? We are looking at recommendation 6. Recommendation 6. 7.
Recommendation 6, Madam
8.
Speaker.
8. 8. 8. Yes,
Recommendation
Cecilia.
8, Right Honorable Speaker. This is the point we have been debating for quite some time, the 1.8 billion. I would want to know whether the other participants to this particular figure were also given opportunity to explain themselves, because
Yes,
there is this 800 billion.
They were given.
Okay, thank
They
you.
appeared before the committee.
On 8, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, 8.
On 8, I beg to move that we amend and remove the appreciation to the MD, Mr. Richard Biarugaba. Because it's
That
a
what?
resolution. Resolutions are amended over appreciating Mr. Richard Biarugaba. Because you must not be seen to condemn him for doing so much. In the same paragraph,
We
you
are
saying-
removing the word appreciating.
Yes.
Because you cannot appreciate somebody who is being accused.
Absolutely.
And you've already condemned the person as he has done something wrong.
And you're
So we are
saying
removing the
that he
appreciation.
succumbed to pressure to commit an illegality, then you appreciate him.
Thank you.
Yes.
I put a question that we amend recommendation 6 by removing appreciation. Those in 8. Recommendation 8 by removing appreciation. Those in favor send the contrary nay. Guys have it. 9.
Madam Chair, the committee just a few minutes told us people went to the bank and took cash. Now, these people who took cash are not mentioned here. Madam Chair, on 1.8 billion, I want to make an amendment that as the IGG is still investigating, those who took the money should refund it immediately. Because it is clear indicated
There are recommendations to that effect. There are recommendations to that effect on how IGG should investigate on the whole fund, and money should be refunded. 9, 10.
Madam Chair, 9. Madam Chair, 9, the CFO is a professional accountant. And they are saying we take him, we should say, I want to make an announcement on the CFO, Mr. Stevens Manje.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, the amendment by Honorable Mafabi would stand and would be appropriate if the CFO was a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants. But in this case, he's not. Therefore, the Institute is not responsible for him.
I want to thank our Honorable, I had not seen that. Since he's not a member, and Mr. Richard Yarugaba is a member, he should be held liable for employing in such a professional department a person who is not qualified.
He was employed by the board.
Yeah, but he's the one who brought him.
Ten, 11, 11. What is it on 10?
On 10, Madam Speaker. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the appointment of Dr. Sam Lumoki and Penina, whereby the committee stated that it was illegally appointed by the Honorable Minister. The Honorable Speaker, I really feel let the IGG investigate
Let me tell you.
on the illegal appointment.
I know you have been lobbied.
Yes.
All of us have been lobbied on that issue. Have you heard? The appointment was illegal. Even Kasaija, Honorable Kasaija accepts it.
11, Speaker.
11?
11, Speaker.
11? This morning, Silwani was lobbying me for the same. Eleven.
Right, Honorable Speaker. On 11, I think this House would not act fairly if we indict Geoffrey Waiswa and leave the entire board, because the appointment of the persons that Geoffrey Waiswa appointed and the appointment of Geoffrey Waiswa himself, they were all done by the board. So it should be an indictment of the entire board who approved all the processes.
There is a recommendation on the board.
Yeah.
It is there.
Yes. So,
yes.
So Waiswa as an individual, I object. Thank you.
There is one of the board, and this one is of Waiswa. Yes?
No, Honorable Sister, Mate is right. You see, the board here we can recommend as many times as we want about the board. Here, the board appointed Sejabi, who doesn't qualify. So there are two people who are involved in this matter. One, the board. As much as we're going to indict them on another
Have you read the recommendation well? Sejabi employed his relatives and supervised them in the same department. Yes.
Yeah, Madam Chair.
These are small positions that do not go to the board. They are smaller positions. Like you have somebody making tea, you have a cleaner. They are not the board level. This is okay.
On 11.
Yes, Taylor.
But Madam Chair, if you read the report, it's saying, the committee observed that Mr. Sejabi was appointed head of business at NSSF when he didn't have the required qualification.
No. Honorable Ethel.
Yes, but Madam Speaker, this matter, finally, we are expecting a report from the IGG, because the IGG's office is supposed to investigate and do all those further reporting. So I beg that we go to the next item. It's already catered for. If all departments are going to be investigated, it's already catered for.
Taylor.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I think we have not picked the facts right. One of the people whom Sajabi is accused of recruiting is in the Business Development Department. These are not casual jobs, Right Honourable Speaker. They are professional jobs. Right Honourable Speaker, below in that very recommendation, there is a suggestion that a thorough forensic HR audit be done. Right Honourable Speaker, why don't we subject all this to the scrutiny of the entire department at once without singling out individuals?
Honorable Taylor, the board appointed Sejabi. Now, it is Sejabi who abused his powers by going to recruit other people, including those without qualification, without declaring conflict of interest either.
Right Honourable Speaker, Sajabi as an individual, I don't think has the powers to recruit individuals within the NSSF. It's a process of recruitment.
No.
They make applications, Right Honourable Speaker. They are shortlisted, they are interviewed, and then they are recruited.
Can I give you information?
Honourable Karim.
Thank you very much, Chair. On this recommendation, why particularly we are focusing on Mr. Sajabi is because they have the human resource manual at the NSSF.
Taylor, are you listening? They have a human resource manual that was followed by Sejabi.
Yes, so it's Sajabi who faulted. He knew what the human resource manual says, and
I can see people being lobbied in this house. 12. 12?
Yes, 12. 12.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I've not yet been lobbied. I want to put it on record. But I'm concerned about section 322, which actually talks about Anti-Corruption Act. Yeah? I'm still on 11. We haven't moved from 11. We haven't yet moved. That's where we have a contention with the Speaker. Right, Honorable Speaker, I've not yet been lobbied. Maybe they will lobby me afterwards. But I'm making reference to this NSSF Human Resource Policy Manual. So this Sejabi recruited these relatives or brothers or sisters under this NSSF Human Resource Policy Manual. And you cannot tell me that the supervisors of this man, Sejabi, did not know. So I want the entire...
But the man made a personal confession and he said, I did recruit these people, and so is my sister, brother, in-law, and that kind of thing.
And right, Honorable Speaker,
But let's indict the whole of them.
How would the board know that this person is a relative to Sajabi? Exactly, if he has not declared.
Now that you have talked. 12, 13.
12.
12.
Madam Speaker, on 12, I need some clarification. The clarification I would need, Honorable Cecilia Gual, please. First of all, I want a clarification regarding the payment that was given to the board members. That's on 12. Is that money what was due to them on monthly for the remaining months, or it has some other additions? I want that clarification first before I can come to the next.
Yes.
So on that one, the two board members who resigned, they computed the money that they assumed they would earn during their term of 3 years, and then decided to give them as a whole package for them to...
Because we wanted some two ladies in the board.
Right, Honorable. Just further clarification. They gave them also money for the trustee companies. For example, if he was on another board, they also computed that money.
That's where I want to amend, Right, Honorable Speaker. And my justification is this. First of all, for fund the money.
Madam Speaker, this recommendation is not on those two who received. It is on the people who made the payment.
Yes.
So the recovery will not come from the two members, but on the board members who conceptualized the idea and made the payment. So
I concede.
Okay.
Further addition.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
The 12.
Madam Speaker.
A thorough audit, a forensic audit should be done to ensure that the amounts are verified, the amounts that are supposed to be paid. So we could put that amendment on an audit.
I therefore move accordingly.
You move accordingly. I put a question that recommendation 12 be adopted with amendment on an audit. Those in favor say under control and nay. The ayes have it.
I need your help. And I'm asking it in honesty. Now, a man voluntarily resigns. Unless we change this, unless it was forced, because it is a voluntary.
Our staff.
DPP.
DPP, IGG is the one which is our staff. No, we'll recommend that.
Yes, that the DPP takes interest.
Yes.
Madam Speaker.
13, 14.
Speaker, I would like you and Honorable...
Can still do both. Forensic and value for
both.
money audit.
That's correct. So can we use both forensic and and value for money audit. Thank you.
Make amendment.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I want to make an
I
amendment.
beg to move accordingly.
Yes, Honorable Cecilia, I agree with
You
that.
asked the Honorable Nandala to guide you.
So I'm going to guide my mother.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, before I guide...
On that recommendation 13 be adopted with the amendments from Honorable Nandala. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it. 14, 15.
Right Honorable Speaker, I'm looking at...
Is very, very perfect. We are not amending those names that are lobbying. 15.
I made
15.
Madam Speaker, on 15.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, on recommendation 15 from such, and I think the recommendation is too lenient.
On 15, Right Honorable Speaker, I take very serious note of 51% on the, is it the directors or whatever? Now, ransom funds, is that the expenditures on staff, board, and whatever it is, should not exceed 2%. It is very important that this matter should be looked at further. Maybe the auditors should be able to help us. UPRA should have advised us because there are supposed to be restrictions. Thank you.
So what is...
Right Honorable Speaker, if the lawyers could help me, I beg to move that recommendation 15 to advise or to move that the increase in the expenses does not exceed the acceptable level by the, is it the general practice, whatever it is? My grandfather can help.
Then, plus the one of Honorable...
Yeah, I beg to move.
Honorable Sam?
Madam Chair, we want to ask a question. 85 members went to Dubai. Now, just so, Madam Chair, don't you think we need to get the exact figure here?
That's why she is preferring for an audit on this.
Yes, but now what we want to say that we want to tell them that the staff of NSSF illegally was that the one who authorized the 85 staff to go to Dubai should refund this money with interest. Madam, the justification is that this was illegal travel.
Jonathan?
Right Honorable Speaker, on the same 33 billion being declared as bonus is too much. I wanted to amend the recommendation to put a moratorium, a freeze on declaration of bonuses in the fund for the next probably 5 years. There should not be any declaration of bonuses. And by way of adding, all the recoveries as a matter of principle should be having interest. All the recoveries and refunds as a matter of principle across must be with interest.
Right Honorable Speaker.
17, 18, to include an audit on them. Those in favor say on the contrary nay. The ayes have it. 19.
Right Honorable Speaker, that was to include an audit, but there's something else on 17.
Yes.
Because 17, there's a recommendation on the waivers that
the rest of the recommendation stays.
Yes, there's
we are
another
only
recommendation.
adding. The ayes have it. 19, 20.
Madam Chair, 19. Now I've known the reason why NSSF was fighting UBRA. They never wanted to be regulated. So, Madam Chair, I want to make an amendment here, which is very strong, that NSSF should be supervised by UBRA.
That's a matter of law. It's a matter of law.
But they rejected it. They did. Okay, my mother.
19, Right Honorable Speaker, I think we need to understand the background. I think this is what we call bullism. because NSSF looked at itself as being too big to be supervised by a too small regulator like UBRA. That is it. So, but it is in the law that UBRA should supervise all pension schemes. It is by law. So, Right Honorable Speaker, we can maybe administratively advise that UBRA should do its duty. And in any case, UBRA also fails in its duty. They have never complained that NSSF has refused to be visited. They have never complained. So I think we need to insist that UBRA must carry out its legal responsibility. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, UBRA is supposed to do that fact, even approving their accounts, by the way. They are supposed to be submitted to what? UBRA. Now the one of NSSF takes to the minister. That's why those were some of the contentious issues. I think here as a committee, as Parliament, we should really recommend seriously that NSSF should be...
Let that come on an amendment.
Okay, Madam Speaker, we shall make those amendments. And also
bring the amendment.
And the further amendments, we need to really seriously to work on NSSF.
Madam Speaker, under the Act, the UBRA Act, they provide even an officer to do the supervision for compliance from those holding pensions. I would think in one of our recommendations, as a senior recommended, that UBRA should be urged to take up their role seriously. In my own opinion, I think they also
should
slept
do
on
the
job.
annual site inspection.
Yeah, they slept on job.
Yes.
But right now, Speaker, as we make that amendment, I also pray that Parliament creates a vote for UBRA other than getting funds from these savings schemes to supervise them.
20. Aisha.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable members, this is a consequential amendment. There is already an amendment that we made where we say the person who paid. The beneficiaries, for me, I benefit. So it is your role either to recover from the person you paid, not making the person who received to pay. Yes, Aisha?
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. 20 is about the 10% deductions or benefits that the board members got from NSSF. Two things. Number one,
the appointment letter did not have NSSF. An appropriate duty facilitation allowance for local and foreign travels. All at duty, all at duly approved rates. Please confirm acceptance of this appointment in writing within 1 week from the date of this letter, signed by Minister of State for Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Anite Evelyn.
Right Honorable Speaker, I concede.
Madam Speaker, you have guided before.
Committee recommend actually they should pay, but not that those who paid them. So you may speak to different things.
And should make good the payment. I put a question that clause 28B, recommendation 20 be amended as suggested by Honorable Segona and Honorable Aisha. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. Nay. The ayes have it. 21.
Right Honorable Speaker, arise on recommendation 21, and it talks about the committee recommends that a lifestyle audit be done by IGG on all officers of the compliance department because there are inconsistencies in their internal audit companies and so on. Right Honorable Speaker, for us to involve lifestyle audit at this point,
An audit taking place with
I agree.
IGG.
Right, Honorable Speaker, can I finish? I started hearing the word lifestyle audit from the new IGG, But before that, and I had anticipated that the new IGG would come to this house with some kind of request for us to dress up that lifestyle audit with some kind of legal bill or act to regulate that. Now, what are the mechanisms for conducting lifestyle audit? I understand it as the dictionary explains, but now you are going to subject it to law. So how I see my speaker, I'm not supposed to speak about my speaker. My speaker wears a suit. I don't know how much it costs. It may cost 100 million, it may cost 1 million, it may cost 500.
Can we drop 21?
Yeah.
We drop 21 on lifestyle audit, and audit should be done.
Yeah, it's a consequential audit.
It is consequential because
it's
there is already an
consequential.
audit.
Right, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move.
Madam Speaker.
I beg to move that we delete clause 21 because it is consequential.
It is already provided for.
Madam Speaker.
Those in favor of deletions, the ayes have it.
Madam Speaker.
22.
Madam Speaker.
Members.
As we go to 22.
Members, I have a bill that must pass. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my concern for 22 is if we could allocate time to it. The committee says that they should expedite the processing of those land titles. But as we know, time can be a big factor in land titles. And knowing that the Ministry of Lands is really in the hands of government, I don't see a reason why we wouldn't allocate
He wants time. How much time can we put here? How much time for us to have the title for Honorable Whip? How much time? Because you are the one going to make a follow-up.
Madam Speaker.
Whip.
Madam Speaker.
Whip.
Madam Speaker, if I can give you some information.
Can I hear from the whip? Are you the whip?
Just some information, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, you could go with what we did.
Do we give for them to process the titles?
Right, Honorable Speaker and Honorable Members, considering the circumstances of the matter at hand, I would kindly request for within 3 months.
Thank you. I put a question that clause 22 be adopted with the, not clause, recommendation 22 with amendment of 3 months. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. 23, 24, 25. Lifestyle is removed in the audit of 25.
Madam Chair.
It's consequential.
Madam Speaker, I think when we remove the word lifestyle, we just put the word investigation.
Yes.
Okay.
Lifestyle is removed. Those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. 26, 27, the same. Any new amendment?
An opportunity. I've heard members giving in feedback in terms of recoveries, then refunds, then prosecution. Madam Speaker, the more we talk.
What is your amendment?
My amendment, Madam Speaker, is that the names are clearly known and the people are clearly identified. Madam Speaker, would indeed be in order, if it pleases you, Madam Speaker, that I ask that the people mentioned in line of investigation deposit their passports with the relevant officers. Please listen to me. If they are members of this House, Madam Speaker, because investigation must be blind. And
Presumption of innocence.
yes, Madam Speaker, that the passports, if their colleagues in the House, their passports be deposited with the clerk to Parliament.
But, Honorable, we do not have powers to restrict anybody's movement. We don't have those powers. I wish we had, but we don't have. I now put a question that the report of the Select Committee on the state of affairs of the National Social Security Fund be adopted by this House. Those in favor say and the contrary, nay. The ayes have it.
Item 7, Bill second reading, the Microfinance Deposit Taking Institutions Amendment Bill 2022. Bills Committee stage.